historian Christopher Simpson, who is at American University, documented in Blowback, a book that he published in 1988. He published that the CIA was created by absorbing tens of thousands of Nazis. Now, this is something we have to keep repeating. And we have the article. Let me show people the article. Let me see. Where do I have this? So we have it on Management of Reality, right, on our Substack. If you go to the archive and you type Nazis, right, it'll pop right up. It's this one. How many Nazis were secretly recruited at the creation of the CIA? Okay, and it turns out it was tens of thousands. Okay, at the end of World War II, the Allies captured Reinhard Gehlen, General Reinhard Gehlen, who had been Adolf Hitler's chief of intelligence for Fremde Heer Ost, which was the intelligence structure of foreign armies east, where the worst crimes happened, where the worst crimes of war took place. So this guy was a complete monster. I mean, it would take us a long time to give the catalog of his crimes. And so at the end of the war, the Allies capture this guy, and he says, "Hey, you know what? If you like, I can recreate for you Hitler's intelligence infrastructure in Eastern Europe." And the U.S. military said, "Yeah, sure, go for it." And that's what became the CIA. We're talking about tens of thousands of Nazi war criminals and Nazi collaborators. The consequence of this is that U.S. foreign policy has to have a Nazi bent because U.S. foreign policy is cooked at the CIA. Okay, so that's point one. Point two is that if you have a clandestine service made up of Nazis, and you give them the power to spend the money of U.S. citizens in secret, which is what happened, because the 1947 National Security Act, the law that created the CIA, authorizes U.S. intelligence to initiate any activity at any time without asking anybody. And we have an article to explain that. I'll put it up on the screen. So let me return here, because I want people to be able to see this documentation. So if you go to the archive again, and you, by the way, I don't think we are live on, oh yeah, we are. If you go to the archive and you type here in National Security Act of 1947, there it is, okay? Click on that, and here you will see explained, and we quote the relevant portions of the act so that you can see what they're saying and what it means. And we have a link to the full text of the act if you want to go read the whole thing. What it says is that it doesn't matter what they want to do, they can just go ahead and do it. They don't have to ask anybody, and they can postpone indefinitely the report of any activity so long as they stamp it as a national security secret. That's all they have to do, and it'll be the report can be postponed indefinitely. So you give these people, the Nazis, because it was created out of Nazis, you give them the power to spend as much money as they want in secret, basically, because it turns out that the budget of the CIA is a state secret. So for all practical purposes, it's infinite.
Yes.
You give them that power. What are these Nazis going to do? Well, of course they're going to corrupt the entire media and academic system, because the media and academic system is the thing that you have to corrupt if you want to take control over reality. Now, in Nazi Germany, this was all done transparently, because Nazi Germany was openly a totalitarian state, right? But in the United States and in the rest of the West, you have to do this clandestinely, because the United States and the other Western states call themselves democracies, and the people running these states have to preserve the fiction for their citizenries that they are living in a free state, that they are citizens of a democratic polity. Okay, so in those states, the work of transforming the media and academic systems has to be done clandestinely, and the surface appearance of freedom has to be preserved. So this is done through the intelligence services in the shadows. Okay, and guess what else Christopher Simpson documented? Once again, you go to the archive of management of reality, and you type in there, let's see, you type, oh, here it is. Here's the article: Psychological Warfare, Communication Research, Media, and Academia. And what Christopher Simpson, because he also did this research, what he showed here is that immediately after World War II, the CIA set up the new departments of communication and institutes that study communication research in the different elite universities of the United States. So before this, departments of communication didn't exist. They were suddenly created in a 10-year period immediately after the war, okay, in the 50s. And these departments of communication were staffed by the same people that had been doing psychological warfare for the United States during World War II. In other words, the people running the communication research departments were the same experts that had been producing, that had been managing reality for millions of people, okay, that had been creating fake realities for millions of people to manipulate them during the Second World War. Those experts became the professors at elite universities teaching the new discipline of communication research, and those departments were created with CIA money laundered via the Rockefeller and Carnegie and Ford foundations. Okay? This is what they did after the war. And guess what? Those departments of communication train all of the people who work in the mainstream mass media. So before these departments of communication existed, journalists tended to be, lower middle class or working class people who decided they were interested in investigating the truth about something, and they became journalists. They were not typically college educated people. I mean, some of them might be, but there was no expectation that they should be, and most of them were not. But after these departments of communication research were created, it became a kind of a bureaucratic process that if you want to be anywhere, if you want to be hired anywhere in mass media, you first have to get some kind of degree of journalism or communication from these departments. And then you can get hired in the mass media. So the system that was set up by the CIA is one where their own experts in psychological warfare end up training all of the people who have the job of creating content in the mass media. That's the world we live in. That's the world we live in. The Jews don't control the media. The Nazis control the media, which explains, of course, why the entire world is trying to destroy Israel, because the media everywhere is creating this envelope of reality where the Jews look bad, right? So where the Jews are supposedly committing genocide in Gaza, and the Jews are supposedly starving people in Gaza, and you're not supposed to notice that the terrorists in Gaza murdered 1,200, they tortured to death 1,200 people, took hostages, and then never released all of the hostages. So the very simple fact that this conflict could have ended in the first 2 weeks if Hamas had released all of the hostages, because that's what would have happened, that is completely lost. This is nowhere in view now for people. And the people who are blamed are the people who were victimized. The people who are called genocidal monsters are the people who were attacked by a terrorist group that says in public that they mean to commit genocide against the Israeli Jews. It's really quite remarkable, and you couldn't possibly get such Orwellian reversals that the media were not, in fact, controlled by the enemies of the Jews.